Alright, so today's video is going to be about discipleship and evangelism, and why some people, why they're separated. Like, it doesn't make any sense. If you look in Timothy and Paul's letters, he is telling people that yes, you are sharing your faith, doing the commission, but also you're mentoring people. You're in a discipleship. Now, a lot of the church nowadays, they've separated that. Evangelism and discipleship have been separated. They're like, oh, well, that's fine, you know. See, with evangelism, you go out and you share your faith with unbelievers, and you tell your story, your testimony, how God saved you, and you point to the things in your life that He's done for you, and you let God change that person. Some of them get saved right on the spot after you talk to them. A lot of them will make a profession of faith. Well, here's a comparison to it. It's not like, okay, think of a newborn, okay? When the mother gives birth, doesn't just leave the baby, say, here's a box of Pampers, you know, see ya, survive, I birthed you, bye. No. The same with evangelism. Yes, you may have guided that person and they made a profession to Christ to be saved and born again, but you don't just leave them. You have to disciple them. You have to take them under stewardship. Many Christians are lucky. Many have godly Christian grandparents, and or a Christian mentor that comes by their side and takes them under their wing and teaches them. Timothy had, in the Bible, Timothy had his grandmother and his mother. Both were very godly women and instilled that strong faith in him. So if you witness and evangelize, I know it's something that needs to be done and it's hard. You also have to disciple the people. You can't just leave them. Like when they had the churches back then in Laodicea, I think I'm going to butcher that name, I know I am, but the ones that Paul addressed, every time Paul would, you know, they'd help somebody, they would mentor and disciple them. How do they do that? It's not just up to one person. Yes, the evangelist is out there evangelizing, but for discipleship and mentorship, that's on the church. The church is supposed to carry that part. If he's going out and he's sharing his testimonies and he's witnessing and people are being saved, they have to be pointed to a church. And at church, you're around other believers that support and uplift you. And also, you're around older Christians. What are the older ones called to do? In the scriptures, it says the old men are called to teach the young ones. Women are called to teach young women how to honor, respect, and love their husbands. The same with the older men are to teach the younger ones how to love their wife, how to serve God, how to serve their wife. You see, people separate evangelism and discipleship. The churches do, and they shouldn't be separated. They're the same. If it's a new believer, and I was a new believer a few years ago, like I rededicated myself, and just the confusion I had about where to go. Like, I was lucky I had a godly mentor from years ago who reached out to me and he helped me, but I could imagine the terror of a new Christian. I mean, here I am, I made a profession and I'm part of this new life, and now what do I do? What's next? They have no guidance, and they're infants. A mother has to raise her baby. They're nurtured, they're cared for, they're taught, and they're, taken care of. New believers are the same way. We're infants when we start out. We're on the milk of the word. Also, you eventually mature, as Paul's outlined this in his letters. You'll see I reference Paul a lot. he also said you have to move up to bread. And then eventually you move up to meat. And, you know, the full course meal. That's what it's like when you have to teach a disciple. You disciple somebody. You take them from being on milk, like you would an infant, to being on bread and solid food, to eventually being on meat and fish. Because that's what their diet is. That was what their diet was back then. That's what they ate. So, if people are, you know, evangelizing, but they're not discipling, then you're not really doing the Great Commission. You're doing part of it. Because that's what he said. Go forth. And what does it say? Make disciples of all men and of all nations. Right? Does it just say evangelize to them, they get saved, and you just leave them on their own? No. You have to mentor and discipleship. And that is scary. I know. It's scary to think of that. You got to take somebody under your wing and teach them. Well, the same thing would happen if you had a child. If you had a son, you have to mentor him. God mentors us. We're born and he doesn't say, oh, look, you got a new son. He just leaves you to your own devices. No. He disciples you. He sends the Holy Spirit. And the Holy Spirit teaches and instructs and convicts us. And he left us the Bible. Instructions. He didn't just say, believe in me and here, you know, figure it out. No, he gave you a guide. And we as Christians, members of the church, we have to disciple newer believers. Otherwise, we'll lose them. Because if they don't know what to do, no one's to teach and show them and instruct them, they're going to fall away. They're going to be like, this is too hard. I got no support. I don't know where I'm going. I don't know what I'm doing. And they'll just say, it's too hard. And the first few attacks, they'll crumble and they'll just fall away. They'll say, this isn't for me. And they'll go back to doing whatever they were doing. So, evangelizing is important, but discipleship is extremely important. Both go together. We have to train the next generation of Christians, but in order to do that, you have to disciple them. And the way the world is now, discipleship isn't really there. A lot of people just go to church for an hour or two, and a lot of churches are just an hour or two, you know, preaching. They're like, all right, well, that's good to see you. And then they leave. They don't even stick around. Some of them, I call them quick pass pastors or guest speakers. Some of them are like that. They never stick around long on some messages. They just drop the message and they're at the door. Now, I understand you're busy and stuff, but if you're not willing to, you know, stick around to talk to people about your message, or maybe they have questions, then I believe you're not fully doing your job. That is part of it. You're called to be a mentor to people. As a pastor, you're called to lead your church, your congregation. But if you're constantly coming and going, but you're just going more and sticking around and talking to, you know, people that have questions, are you really doing your job properly? I don't think you are. Because there are people that have immense questions. They might have a question about your message. So, discipling is just as important as evangelism. And that is another thing that we're all called to do in the Great Commission. So, let's all be disciples to others. Maybe take that new Christian at church under your wing. Maybe you don't feel qualified to, you know, teach somebody. I don't. But just instruct them and just teach them like you were taught. That's all you have to do. Show them God, show them your faith as a more mature believer, and just show them how to, you know, read the Bible, how to study. Simple things. And just work with others. So, I'll leave the video off here. I've been a voice in the wilderness, a soldier and bond servant of Christ, signing off. And I just want to have a blessed day, be safe, and let's not separate discipleship from evangelism. Let's start discipling people instead of just telling people, okay? Anyways, have a blessed day whenever you watch this, or night. May God bless and keep you and protect you. Amen.